We're also about to get a big snowstorm here in Chicago, so I don't know if that's
Oh,
freezing up things.
heard about that. It's white stuff and it falls out of the sky and it stacks on the
Yeah,
ground.
California, you don't get too much of that, but
And Nikki, just so you know, I have to leave a little bit early because I have another meeting at 2. So,
no worries at all. I do record the whole thing. I leave it on the YouTube channel, so even after the live stream, you can go back and you can watch me at half speed since I talk so fast and then
okay,
catch it.
sounds like plan.
And if there's anything specific you guys want to see or you have questions, you can always drop them in the chat. We're looking to see like what other sessions people want to have. The next one we are going to do is going to be around Google Sheets compared to I just did one on Excel. But I know some people had questions on maybe like forms or, a couple different things. Mostly I'm going to just talk about kind of the ecosystem and Drive today, but, drop stuff in if there's something specific we can cover. Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and share the slides and we'll get that part of the show going. Share. Cool. Let's make it in presentation mode because otherwise no one can see it. Share. No, present. Why is it not allowing me to present anymore? Who knows? It's another mystery of tools changing with AI. No worries. All right, let me pull up the chat too, just in case you guys are going on the chat and I don't see you guys. So awesome. Welcome to Tech Tuesday. I am your coach, Nikki Green, and today we're going to be talking about the Google ecosystem. There's been a lot of requests for this, so I'm going to go through a couple of live examples, specifically on how to use Google Drive. But if you guys have questions about other parts of Google, either we will try to cover it a little bit in here. We only have an hour together today, so it's kind of hard to cover everything that's in there. There's a lot in the ecosystem, but I'll just show you some ways that I'm using Google to help with my business, and we'll kind of do it a little bit more live. I'll just have a few slides here to set things up. Let me just check if there's any chat on the live stream. No, we're good there. Alrighty, we are going to have a second kind of deep dive class on Tuesday, the 25th. So if anyone is interested, it is the same registration link to join for that one, but we're going to talk about Google Sheets versus Excel, and we're going to go through how to use those. So I'll just drop that in the chat for everyone there. Oh, hey, Cassie. Oh, she's got super sunny in South Africa. I'm very jealous right now. Maybe we can trade. Awesome. So one of the first things I want to do is orient you how to find all the things in your Google Workspace. So when you have your browser open, and let's say you're starting in your Gmail, you're going to see in the very top right-hand corner a little thing that says Google in really big letters, and then it should be your picture in there if you've set up your account. And that right there has a little dot menu to it. And when you click on the dot menu, this whole thing of drop down is going to pop appear. And you're welcome to try to kind of do this along with me to see it. And I'll show it live on the screen in just a few seconds. But some people, first of all, can't even find the Google Workspace because it's really hidden up there. They know they have these things. Maybe somebody sends them a Google Doc or a Google spreadsheet or maybe even a form to fill out. So you've interacted with the bits and pieces, but you may not know how in your own account how to actually find this stuff. And it also may depend on which account you're logged into. Many of us have maybe Google in our personal account, and then we also maybe have Google for our business. And so sometimes people don't know, well, how do I actually go about switching between accounts and how do I know which one I'm in? So I want to cover that a little bit with you today because I definitely have different Google accounts and I've had issues before where things are going to the wrong account and it's on the personal side when it's supposed to be business or vice versa. So one of those things is when you click on that piece right there where your picture is, that is where you're going to be able to change the account. So when you click on it, you'll see your personal account, your business account, or in my case, I actually have 2 different business accounts, and I'll explain why. And so you can switch from them there to there. This picture is also a really terrific indicator to help you understand which account am I in when you're looking at the screens and maybe the screens look completely, similar. So I always try to just go up into that top right-hand corner to start with to make sure I'm in the right place when I get started. And so then from there, you can start to see the different tools that are available. So, again, it'll take you to your account. You probably have Gmail. Definitely, you're probably, saving things into Drive. Then they have all the individual applications like the calendar, slides, and now they have new things like Gemini for interacting with their AI. Another good thing to know about this is you can move these around. So it's kind of in a default of the ones you use the most. But let's say you have a new project coming up and you're going to be using slides a whole bunch and you want to move that up to the top. So it's the first thing you find when you go in there. All you got to do is click and hold on to it, and you can actually drag and rearrange this stuff on here. So that makes it really handy. You're not stuck with whatever Google thinks is the most important. And then about having a personal account versus a business account, another thing that happens to a lot of people that I talk to is I'm out of space. Google keeps telling me I'm out of space and I need to buy more space, especially if you're maybe doing podcasts or recording videos like these and you're trying to save them into Google. Videos take up a lot of space. And so now if you go all the way into the bottom left-hand corner, opposite kitty corner from where the menu is, you'll see this little tiny section that talks about, it says admin console, and there's a little bar here that'll show you how much storage you have and how much you're using. Because this snapshot is of my business account, I actually have 2 terabytes of space, which is a whole lot of space. And I'm only using 41 gigabytes. But had I done this in my personal account, I'll show you that it's definitely not the same. So another thing to be aware of as you're making sure you're in the right account is that as much as possible, if you have a business account, you're using that to store documents, because your personal account will max out quickly on purpose because Google wants you to pay for more storage. So just a couple kind of little tricks for that, just to show you kind of how to get oriented to the first page when you're looking at Google Workspace from, let's say, email. The other thing here is you'll see it says, okay, discover Google Workspace right here at this top bar, and there's a little arrow. When you go there, it's going to give you this whole page of all these different apps that are in the ecosystem. Some I've never even looked at before, but if you're interested, happy to jump in and try to play around with any of them. But sometimes it's a little bit easier to look at this page than trying to keep getting that little dot menu to pop up and get your cursor right over the exact thing you're trying to look at. So sometimes I just go to this one, it blows it up into one whole big browser page, and then I can go, oh, here's what I was looking for. I'm trying to go to Google Sheets, and then I can quickly go to it and it'll pop up a new browser tab in order for you to open that file. That is one handy thing about Google, is they have figured out not to open things up in the tab you're already in, so you don't lose the work or whatever you were already trying to look at. The majority of the time it will open up in another tab, and so you'll have a bunch of tabs across the top usually that show you whatever else you were trying to work on. I've used most of these like sites. You can make websites from it when you have a business account. This is also the version, again, logging into my business account. If you're logging in from your personal account, you may not have as many features because it's going to limit you to what you get for free with a regular Gmail account. So if, maybe somebody sends you a file and something that you don't know how to use, like maybe this new Notebook LM, which is another new AI feature they've just added, unless you have a business account, you're probably not going to be able to actually access some of these things. Again, things change over time, so this is as of where things are at right now. Hi, Michelle. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Come on down. And if you missed any part of the recording or if you need to leave early, everything is going over to the YouTube channel, and you'll be able to catch it later, and I'll resend the links. How many accounts can you have, Cassie asks? As many as you want to pay for, to be honest, or how many free ones. So this is one thing that I know a lot of people have done for themselves is, oh, I don't want to pay for a business account. I just want to open another personal one, which is free. And then I'll have 5 or 6 personal accounts and I'll just use it that way. that is totally up to you and definitely not, anything against Google policies. The challenge becomes is now your stuff is in a lot of different places. And so it may get confusing to try to figure out where things are unless you have a clear structure for how you're utilizing that. I have a structure for everything, so I could be doing it that way. But yes, I do know a number of people that are just opening up multiple personal accounts. Maybe one says, info, underscore business name at gmail.com or whatever you might want to do. So yes, you can keep opening up more Google accounts if you want to do it that way. So let's talk about the price and the difference in the size of the accounts too. One, because we just did another one, if you guys might have missed it, it's on the YouTube channel, but I talked about subscription overload and how much we're actually paying for a lot of these things and how very quickly you can end up paying a lot for stuff that you didn't realize. So on the left-hand side, I took a quick screenshot of my personal Gmail account, and you can see I'm using almost 10 gigabytes of storage, and I only get 15. And so that very quickly runs out if, again, I'm taking videos of my kids playing at the park, or, we're taking a lot of photos on a vacation. It'll probably max out that 15 pretty quickly, and then Google will start asking me for more money. Right here in the center is what the personal account additional storage looks like. And so it's about $2 a month. They always try to get you in with a quick discount, but it doesn't last very long. Or you can pay for the full year and it's about $25. And then if you want even more than 100 gigabytes of storage, you can kind of double that and get 200. So not, going to break the bank necessarily to pay $24 for the year, but very quickly, again, if you have multiple Gmail accounts, maybe one for you, maybe one for your partner, maybe one for your VA or something, you're going to end up spending a lot more money to try to increase the storage on here than if you just went over and got a business account. So on the right-hand side here, this is my business account. So I have 40 gigabytes already of stuff in here, and you can see how small this bar is. So I really, even though I have a ton of really heavy, big videos and all kinds of stuff in here, it's not even barely scratching the surface of the 2 terabytes that I could be putting in here. And so, 40 gigabytes is like 3 times already what a personal account would be. So I'd have to have 3 personal accounts shuffling stuff all over just to manage the amount of stuff I have right now. So how much is it and what's the price difference? So I do pay $12 a month per user. Right now it's only me, but if I have another, like a VA or somebody I want to give them an email to. But that doesn't just give me Gmail. It also gives me a customized domain, a business email that says, Green Chameleon Collective or the Nikki Green. It gives me the increased storage and access to additional tools to be able to run my business. So you get a lot more for it. And again, there's always discounts for like paying annually versus paying by the month. But in general, that's kind of how much it costs. So for the amount of storage you're getting, it's actually a pretty good discount. And especially because you're going to get other things within the Google Suite. So hopefully that helps, Cassie. Last little piece on the slides here, and then we'll go to a little bit more live demonstration is I have 2 different business accounts. And some of that just sort of happened with my natural evolution in my business, but I've been able to use it very strategically in how I section how I'm using the different accounts. And this is just an example. Again, depending on your business, you may do something different, but for my Green Chameleon Collective one that has the little green chameleon in there, this is really anything that's not a money-making activity. I use this for when I sign up for my social media accounts. I do this anytime I sign up for a freebie, a giveaway, a summit, anything where I know I'm going to be getting a high volume of email that I don't want to read on a regular basis. Like I said, in the storage capacity, any of my super large files, my videos, those are all stored there, things I don't need to get to on a regular basis. And I also use it for external sharing. So when people are a guest on my podcast, if I'm hosting events, anything where I don't really want that stuff to be mixed in with my primary business stuff, I try to put it in a separate account. So it's really partitioned out and gives me another layer of security that if people got into there, there's not really too much that's going to be top secret. On the other side, for my The Nikki Green one, which is probably most of the correspondence you've gotten from me if you're following me, this one is really important business correspondence, things I have to reply to, things that are, me submitting to speak at events, things where I'm interacting with my clients or freelancers that are doing work for me, all of my bills, my affiliates, and anything with my partners that I'm working with. So that way I know I primarily focus using the Nikki Green email, Drive, and I do internal sharing, let's say for my freelancer to pick up the files to do my podcast. So he is working for me. He has rights that are above and beyond, what I would give maybe just somebody outside. And, I know exactly where he's at within the Drive and what he's doing. Versus the other one, it's really like, okay, all the extra little stuff that ends up being noise in your business and you don't need to be in there all the time. So hopefully that helps, just kind of thinking through why you might have multiple accounts, whether you use personal or, get the business account, that's really up to you and what you're trying to do with it. But I would just try to have a plan of how you're going to use the multiple accounts and what goes into each piece so that you can get more organized and find stuff easily, because that's usually the first problem that people find. I'm gonna stop share for a second and switch the screens. Any questions on that part so far that I've covered?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Looks like Cassie's doing okay over there too. All right. Let's pull up the Google screen and let's go through that a little bit. Perfect. All right. So I'm in my Google Drive right now, and you can see again, I can tell from here which account I'm in because I can see my little green chameleon in the top right-hand corner. It'll tell me which email address that is. And then again, here are the little dot menu that you can click on to go to all of your Google apps. There's new stuff popping up here all the time. This new little star one is their AI called Gemini. I haven't started playing around with this particular AI too much, but next week I'm speaking at an AI conference. So start playing around with a lot more different AI soon, and maybe we'll do a class on this one and show you how to do it. The next thing in this menu is also settings. So one important thing that you might want to try and I find is very helpful is there is something right here that says get Drive for desktop. So especially for those of us used to using PCs, you're used to having your own files there locally on the computer and dragging and dropping stuff as you're working on it to be able to save it. Google actually has this really great plugin that works on your desktop to be able to, if you have stuff locally shared there on your desktop, easily drop it into Drive. So you don't always have to go into this browser version, because I find this browser version incredibly confusing sometimes. And it's a lot easier to use the Google for Desktop. So when you click on that link, it'll bring you to this page. And it says, oh, you can sync your desktop with Drive, and you can choose when things regularly go from your desktop there, or you can just manually sync files. What ends up happening is you get a file location that looks just like it's a part of your computer. It just downloaded a little exe here, and then you run that little file thing, and it will basically every day sync into your computer. You pick what you want it to sync, so it doesn't have to sync anything at all. Like I said, you can manually do it. Let's see, I don't think this is going to show up because I have to share this individually. Let's try that. Share. Where's the file folder? Maybe it won't let me share that. There we go. Let's see if I share the screen, then it should show. Let me know, are you guys seeing the little black file folder on top? Yep. Okay, cool. Perfect. So now you'll see like this C drive is my normal computer. This G drive is my Google Drive. And so again, you'll see how much storage space I have in here. When you double click on it, then it'll show you my drive. It'll also show you shared. So let's say you're going to be speaking at an event or you're going to be on someone's podcast and they shared some files with you, graphics, swipe copy. The shared drives will be there. My drive is all of my own personal files. So easily I can go in and say, oh, I'm working on my book. Oh, I need to share my headshot with somebody. And I can grab these things from my desktop rather than having to try to go deal with the browser version. So I just find this really easy to use, a lot easier sometimes than going into Google itself. And they sync simultaneously, so it's never going to be out of sync if you're using that little desktop version versus the browser. I've literally had the browser up and the file folder at the same time, and as soon as it starts uploading to the cloud, it's visually there too. So it's a nice shortcut I like using. Then the other one is we talked about going to your apps. So here's all the apps that are there, and a lot easier to read, like I said, rather than going into this little teeny tiny menu and sometimes scrolling and scrolling and scrolling for days trying to find what you're looking for. Alrighty, so let's talk about the files here. Sometimes what will happen when you come in here, and again, they've continued to change stuff in here and it gets confusing, but they try to push you into home or what they think is home. I'll be honest, I don't think this is useful because this is whatever the last file I happen to touch. Most of the time, I'm not going into this day and trying to go back into yesterday's file. Usually I'm jumping through my business and doing lots of different things. So I like to go into this one that says My Drive. My Drive is the same version that you would see in the Drive for desktop that has the little folders, and it should show you all your folders. When you start in this home version, a lot of times it's selective. It may not show you folders at all. It may show you random files. It may show you files people shared with you. And so usually the first thing I ask people when they say, hey, I'm kind of lost and I don't know where all my stuff went, this is usually the first fix. So get out of home. For some reason, home is not safe. It's not helpful. Just go down to My Drive and then you can find the folders you need. The other confusing thing is there's something right below that that says shared drives and then shared with me. Most times people are not sharing an entire drive with you unless you're really working with them on a large project. Let's say I had my podcast editor and they were making a bunch of short videos for me to put onto social media and they're really big files. So then we would share the drive. I can go click on it and grab the things that I need, and it's going to be a lot of files and on an ongoing basis. That's when you would do shared drive. If you're just doing something like one off with somebody, usually shared with me is where you're going to find files that probably people sent you. It's also, let's say you get freebies from somebody, from a giveaway, and then you have no idea where they landed in your computer. This is usually where those go to. So you can even see some of those things in here, right? Influencer and blog outreach, tips to get speaking gigs, death to bad webinars, all of these great, topics for these freebies. So if someone has shared a file with you, it's not going to show up in your My Drive necessarily until you save and move it to a specific place. It's going to be in this grand ether of shared with me, if that makes sense. So for me, I find this is another place where unless I can remember specifically the name of things, I'm never going to find a file in here. So I will then save it and I'll say, oh, you know what? I want to move this someplace else. So I can download it. I can usually move it to another place. Open with, make a copy, summarize, share, organize. There we go. So they change the names of these sometimes, so you have to double check the menu. So if you can see, I have Lisa's downloadable clicked, and so it's a little blue kind of highlight around it. And then I went to this very small hidden menu of 3 dots here. In here, there's something that says organize. And so I can put it in another place for me to be more easily able to find it. Either I can add a shortcut somewhere else in my drive, I can add it to a workspace if I want to, or sometimes I just star it, and sometimes that makes it easier to find too. So it gives you a couple options. Again, as you're learning how to better organize and set yourself up, you'll know which one makes more sense for you. But for now, let's use star because it's a nice, easy way to do that. Or let's say it's annoying and you happen to download 3 or 4 copies. You can also remove and delete it entirely, and then you're not removing it from their drive. You're only removing the copy that you have. So you can also clean up. So since I just starred this, let's go down and you can see here, there is something that actually says starred. So this is what I do for files that I know I use really often, or maybe it's really relevant for something I'm doing right this minute. This again is not really a folder, but it's a way of like identifying them and bringing them to the top of the stack. You can also unstar them when you're done using them, and they'll just go back to the folder where they were. You don't lose it. It's just kind of a way of organizing. So sometimes when people send me really important documents, I go ahead and star them so I can quickly find them in this menu and not have to sort through all of the different folders. All right, any questions on those couple of like organization pieces or challenges you've had maybe using your drive? I hear some of the same questions over and over, so sometimes I can kind of guess what people might be challenged with before they even get there. All right, it looks like Cassie's good. So let's go back to my drive and let's talk about how to actually set up these folders and what's going on here. So there's a lot of folders in here already, but I'm going to go ahead and create another one so you can see how easy it is to set up the structure. In the top left-hand corner here, you'll see a big button that says new with a plus sign. And of course, why would Google let you just do one thing that's new? Anything that's new is up here in this menu. So when you click on it, you'll get a little pop-up and maybe you know exactly the document that you want to make. But honestly, the first thing I always do is make sure my file structure is set up. So I'm going to be hosting a summit in April, and I know I need a file structure in place to be able to share out all of the graphics and the swipe copy and get the speaker stuff collected as well. So I'm going to start with the very first one here, and I'm going to say new folder. Now it says, well, what do you want to call this folder? I tried to be as specific as possible so that I don't have to decipher my own English later on and until they make me run out of characters. So it's going to be the Mindset in Motion Summit. So I go ahead and type that there. Again, don't worry if you make a typo or anything, you can go in and rename it. So here's my little folder here. It's highlighted in blue. If I messed up, you just again click on these 3-dot menus and you can rename it. Maybe I just want it to say Virtual Summit. I don't know, something very specific. You can just chuck that right in there and it'll fix it. So don't worry about it. Like if you have just like no idea of what you're going to call it and you just put Summit and then later on you have the name of it, you can go back and fix it. So nice and easy. This menu is really useful because there's actually a lot of stuff in here which talks about what else can you do with this folder. We did this with a document before as we talked about organize. Maybe we wanted to move it, but what you're probably going to need to do is share. There's 2 ways to share. If you're going to share it with a lot of people, you click on the first one. If you just want to give maybe one person access, you can copy the link. And so if I want to share this with anybody that's speaking at my summit, I can go in here. And right now, most of my default is that you cannot get in here unless you were a part of my company. And so it says, I am the only person, I am the owner, and it is restricted. You can change the access to just that folder. You can change the access to even one specific file, or you can change the access to like the whole ecosystem if you want. because I know I have to share this with people in my summit, I'm going to go ahead and say anyone with the link can get in there. And so that means once I grab that sharing link, it'll be very easy for me to do that. I can go in here and add email addresses and put people on there if I want to. That's another way to share it one by one. But sometimes, just like we've already talked about, sometimes people have multiple Gmail accounts. And so you may only have one of their email addresses. You may think you're a genius because you added it into giving them access that way. And then they email you 15 times telling you they can't get in because it's the wrong one. Oh, thank you, Cassia. And so this makes it really easy as anyone with the link now can get it. And all you do is there's another little button here in the bottom left, copy link, link is copied. You go give them that link and they'll be able to just get into the folder and anything you need there. So it's really handy. Again, if you have maybe people that are working for you and they're within your email domain, you've given them an email. You can use the second one, which says Green Chameleon Collective. So that means they actually have an email address, a Gmail login from my domain. And so I can make sure only people that are part of my business are actually opening things. But in this case, these are going to be, business partners, speakers. So I need anyone with the link to be able to get in there. It still gives you pretty good security because that link's just not on the internet bathroom wall somewhere. It is like you have to give it to them specifically in order to get in. And then if I double click onto that folder, now it's completely empty in here and I can do whatever it is that I need to do. I usually try to make as many other folders as I know I'm going to need. So let's say graphics for the summit. That's a folder I'm definitely going to need. Let's say a new folder is going to be swipe copy for the summit. Okay, cool. Then let's say I need speaker headshots. So let's go speaker number 1, headshot. And this just kind of gets me started. So that way all this administrative stuff is done all at once. And for however many speakers I have, I can just kind of copy and duplicate this. Let's see. There should be a way to duplicate. I know I've done it before. Let's open with. We don't want to open with them. Maybe not. They might have taken that one away. All right, if not, you just make another folder and keep going. New folder, speaker number 2, headshot. Now everything is nice and organized in here. And then, like I said, let's say, maybe I have information in my personal computer and I want to drag stuff over there. So I can go over here and I can also just like drag stuff from one to the other. Maybe this is a file that it's in the summit I'm speaking at next week, but I really like their design and I want to borrow their color scheme or the format or something like that. So you don't always have to go through a whole process of uploading things. The nice thing is you can usually drag and drop to get things into place here. Now you're like, oh, well, maybe I didn't want this right here because this is a graphic. I wanted it to go into this particular folder. Again, you can also drag it, and as soon as that part's highlighted, it's going to move it. It will ask you, hey, by the way, this folder may have different access than the folder that you're in right now. It's either someone might lose access or people might gain access that you don't want. Is that okay? And I know I gave access all the same to this folder, so I just go ahead and say move. And now you'll see it's disappeared, but it's actually in the subfolder. You can make as many folders as you need to in here, so you can keep nesting them. But I figure after about 3, I start getting lost and forgetting where I'm at. So I usually try to keep it no more than 2 folders. But what I do sometimes is maybe I hosted this event, let's say in 2024, and there was already materials in here. I do just create another folder that says archive. and anything that I don't need for the 2025 version, I'll put the 2024 versions in the archive. So it's still there. I don't lose it and like have to start all fresh, but I have all the format and I can duplicate it very quickly. And that way, if I'm running things over and over again, I make small tweaks and I can leverage everything that I've already built in order to improve this. Cool. So I think that's a little bit of all that. Let me check my notes and see if there's anything I missed. Is there any questions that have come up as I was going through the very fast version of a little bit of everything in Google Drive? We went through desktop for Drive. We went in organizing, sharing to others, receiving shares. Yep, I think we covered all the main notes for that. Cassie says it's midnight there in South Africa, so she's going to sleep, but she'll catch the recording.
And did you say you were going to, we could watch the replay of this?
Absolutely. I know sometimes, I go very quickly, and if you're not doing the activity right along, that it gets a little bit overwhelming, but it'll be available on my YouTube channel. And I usually send it out right after. I'll send you, I'll drop in the chat here, the Excel one I did last time, and that way you'll have already a direct link to the YouTube channel itself.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. What else? Yeah, no worries, Christina. I know everybody's juggling lots of meetings, going in between things. So that was kind of the basics of what I wanted to cover today. I have been doing these Tech Tuesdays every week, and the input really comes from you guys. What do you guys want to see? What's of interest to you guys? We'll be running them pretty much, I think, twice a month going forward. There won't be a session next week because I have two speaking events next week. So I'm out and about. Speaking of which, actually, if you are interested in going to next week's summit, let's grab the free.
Is there somebody else with us? I'm hearing another conversation. No?
Oh, I think it might be the YouTube video. Let's see. This should be the writing summit.
Yep, there it is. Okay, got it. Thank you. Sorry.
Happens all the time, no worries. So there's the link to next week's writing summit. I'm actually speaking on two panels there. One is around AI for fiction writing. I have a new fiction book coming out, Journey to Adventure. And in that panel, we're going to discuss like how AI can be used and whether they can actually help us write human stories. And then the second panel that I'll be on is AI for nonfiction writing. I also have a nonfiction book coming out, Warrior Women 3. And this one is really about how can we use AI to help us improve our research and fact checking when we do nonfiction writing. But there's lots of other great events and speakers and stuff. It's free to attend the summit. There is, as always, like a paid upgrade if you can't attend live and you want to just watch the recordings later. I think it's $97 maybe for that gold pass for the recordings. And that also comes with AI tools. So if you're interested in exploring some AI tools and courses, it's worth the upgrade because not only do you get all the recordings from the summit, but you'll also get access to those tools too. So some cool stuff that's going on there. Let's see. The other summit I'm speaking on next week is the Metapositivity Summit. So we're talking about women's health, and there's lots of great speakers on there. Let's see, what did they do with my link for that one? Here it is. So if you're interested in that one is on Monday and Tuesday. No, Tuesday and Wednesday. I don't think that link is right. Hold on. Let's make sure it's working before I send it to you. Because nothing worse than trying to click on something and it doesn't go. There we go. And I'll drop that into the chat as well. Perfect. So 2 options for next week, since we won't be together, but lots of good stuff going on and always new things to learn. And if you're interested in coming to our next Tech Tuesday, it is on the 25th, same time. It's the same Zoom link, so I'll just drop that in the chat too, in case you didn't register for both when you registered for those. What we're leading into is really the overall Business Foundations coaching program. If you guys haven't attended the previous sessions, we're moving that to a monthly subscription basis. So that way people can come to courses like this and really get the help that they need when they need it. These are all beginner courses so that people can start to learn, and then you'll be able to go to more deep dive coaching and one-on-one and office hours in order to get your specific questions answered. So we do these kind of as the coaching call, and then you can figure out, okay, what did I need to learn more specifically out of that, and come join us for the office hours, and we can work through anything specifically for your business or personal life that needs help and support from these tools. There it is. So here is the link to find out more about that. We do still have a founder special going on, and instead of paying $100 a month for the membership, we are letting the founders come in for a $500 special, and you'll get access for an entire year to this individualized coaching. We right now have the Tech Tuesdays, but we're adding on Wellness Wednesdays and Mindset Mondays, as well as the office hours and the fun happy hours. So there's lots of great stuff in the community and lots of wonderful members. So if anybody is interested, I dropped that in the chat and you can take a look and let me know. Before we sign off for today, any other questions or any thoughts for future classes of something within Google or tech otherwise that might be of interest that we can add to the upcoming calendar for March?
Can't think of anything right now, but if I do, can I just email it to you?
Absolutely. I'll drop our support email in the chat. It's hello@thenikkigreen.com. My team will help us get organized for the future requests. And it's always been best as soon as you guys tell me what you need. If I don't know how to use it, I will figure it out and we'll learn together on the call.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. All right, Helen, how you doing down there? Are you staying okay? Not too smoky and fiery there in Southern California? Michelle, where are you located at?
I'm in Texas.
Oh, okay. You probably have the best weather of all of us.
It's rainy today, but normally we have beautiful weather.
I just managed to unmute myself. I was in the middle of signing up what I feel it's the 17th to 21st, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, Writing Summit 2. But you seem to be talking about 2 tickets. In other words, it sounds like a week-long Writing Summit 2. Is that what, or is there something more I should be doing if I manage to do that?
Yeah, that's the week-long Writing Summit next week. So I'm only speaking on Wednesday, but there's lots of other stuff going on besides me. I believe it or not, but I'm trying to make myself this.
Other things going on in my life, but it figure that means whenever I want, I can kind of dip in and dip out.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the beauty of those things is you can just show up, when it works in your schedule. And once you get in there, it'll show you the agenda so you can see what other stuff is going on and what specifically might be of interest to you to complement your writing.
I was in the middle of signing up and then I had to pull out because I wanted to unmute myself. So now
well, I'll make sure to email you all the links to Helen so you have them.
you say links. Okay. Okay. All right.
And that way you don't lose it. It'll still be in your inbox and you can get to it if it doesn't show up in your browser.
Yes. Okay. Too much.
I know. Well, that's why we have these classes so we can keep working through everything. Awesome. Well, Michelle, enjoy the rain in Texas. We're getting a big snowstorm here in Chicago, so anything feels a little bit better than the -4 degrees we're about to have on Thursday.
We've been very hot here in Texas. We're supposed to get to 80 tomorrow, so it's been very roller coastery weather for the month of January and February. So nothing like Chicago. Nothing. No snow. Thank you, God. No snow. That's why I live in Texas. So,
Yeah, I don't mind the snow. I mind the ice. That's really
yeah,
for
ice.
me.
You're right. Ice is the worst. Correct.
Awesome. Alrighty. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. It's been great seeing you, and hopefully we'll catch you on one of the next events next week or Text Tuesday on the 25th. Bye,
Great.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikki.
Bye.
Don't close until I figure out what. I managed to get lost here. I was
Do you
signing
want me-
up. Wait, well, shoot.